What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. I've had time to medicate, and I figured tonight, emergency mock draft time. Doing a quick mock draft, spur of the moment. Don't have, notes. Usually I like to at least be somewhat, I can defend my pick. We're just doing it because I want to see just how all the moves for the Niners, for the Dolphins, for my Eagles kind of affect the landscape of the 2021 NFL Draft. And, I'm not going to dwell on the past. What's happened has happened. My reaction is out there. I've been able to work on things, work it out, try to justify it. And you know what it was? The biggest thing for me is that this trade for the Eagles is truly the end of the hope that they're not going to be a god-awful team this year. Like you got to prepare for Philadelphia to be, yet again, batting for top 5-ish pick after next season. And, it's new. It's uncommon territory, uncharted territory since I've been an Eagle fan. Really, outside of the first year of Doug Peterson's tenure, every year since I've been an Eagles fan, I've expected them to make the playoffs. And it's just, this trade here signals that things are going to be different. And a lot of other teams have been going through it for much longer than me. Just got to get on board. So let's do this mock draft, and we'll start really at pick. People say it starts after pick 1 because Trevor Lawrence to the Jags. It's going to happen. I think it starts, and I saw this on Twitter, makes sense, at pick 3. After the pro day today, Zach Wilson to the Jets, I think is pretty much a foregone conclusion. Even more so, more proof is that there's no way the 49ers here didn't offer the same trade package that they made the deal with the Dolphins to the Jets. And the Jets said, no, we're staying here. And if they're staying there, they're getting a quarterback, and they're clearly getting baby Baker Mayfield in Zach Wilson. So at pick 3 for the San Francisco 49ers, I already explained where I think they should go, and I had them getting Trey Lance. Now, I know that this selection kind of implies, it's like, oh, C4 doesn't like Justin Fields. I think they're both like this. See if I can make it a little bit more like this. I think they very have high ceilings. But if I had to say, with both these guys going to very favorable situations in San Francisco, which one do I think Kyle Shanahan can take to the next level the soonest, get the quickest return on investment? I think it's going to be Trey Lance. Now, that, again, doesn't mean that I don't think Justin Fields is a good player by any means. I do think that he could be a special player. I think that there is a reality where I did a couple other just test mock drafts on other sites, and Justin Fields was routinely available at pick 12. I don't think that's going to be the case, but would I take Justin Fields as a Philadelphia Eagle? Yes. So that's my opinion. Would I take Mac Jones as a Philadelphia Eagle? That's all I'm going to say. We're going to move on. So that's how I kind of feel about Justin Fields. I just think for the 49ers, Trey Lance could be a guy that Kyle Shanahan makes really. He can make both these guys really special players, but I think Trey Lance has a little bit higher of a ceiling, a little less work to do to put it all together. Pick 4, we have the Atlanta Falcons. When you look at the Falcons here, 4 is in a weird spot. I'm not doing any other trades. I think Atlanta's going to be in a prime position to trade back for whatever team wants Justin Fields. I mean, they could be in on the Justin Fields sweepstakes and just get, everything for life beyond Matt Ryan started in motion this year. I look at the Falcons. I think they could grab a lineman. I think they need corner. They need safety. They could use an edge rusher. But at 4, it's kind of like, okay, Sewell's there. That could be a play, but all right, corner, are you really going to get Surtain at 4? Probably not. Fairley with the injury, probably not. Horn, way too rich for my blood at 4. Edge rushers. Now this is where an edge rusher can come off. Historically, edge rushers, these are very low rankings for the first edge rusher to go off the board. We saw the pro days. OA was a freak of nature. As expected, Kwity Paye, I think he got hurt during his workout and stuff, but he's still very, very highly regarded. I think Boogie Basham, down here, he's going to, whenever their pro day is, he's going to light the charts up. I'm going to go a little outside the box here, and I'm going to have them get Kyle Pitts. When you get Arthur Smith, and you saw how he used Jonnu Smith, he's going to know how to utilize a player like Kyle Pitts. And it doesn't negate what they gave up last year to the Baltimore Ravens to get Hayden Hurst, because 12 personnel is, it's pretty much commonplace in most offenses in today's NFL. So you can run 2 tight ends, and I just think an offense that has Kyle Pitts, and even at his age, Julio Jones, good luck stopping that, man. That is going to be incredibly difficult to stop. That is going to pose incredible questions for opposing defenses. And, you know, all this chatter that Kyle Pitts could develop as an outside wide receiver, he could be the heir to Julio Jones when all is said and done. I just think that's an incredibly versatile offensive piece right there. And I almost want Atlanta to make this move. Pick 5, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. They're getting Sewell. I know some people are thinking Jamar Chase potentially, but I think if you're looking at the fact that Sewell and Chase, I think, are graded very similarly for their, in my opinion, they're both blue chip players. So you look at the Bengals at wide receiver, you have Tyler Boyd and you have T. Higgins. You have two really solid, strong wide receivers that has their best football ahead of them. You look at that offensive line, you have Jonah Williams, who when Jonah Williams came to the league, he's a very fine left tackle. But when he came to the league, a lot of people thought because of his length, he could be better suited as a guard. So you could kick him into guard and have Sewell at tackle. Or Riley Reiff, he's only a one-year option. Sure, you got Riley Reiff, who was an issue at the Minnesota Vikings, an overpaid tackle until he had a solid year last year. He's a one-year Band-Aid. So you could have Sewell at left tackle and Reiff at right tackle, and then eventually have Sewell and Jonah Williams be your two tackles. But for the time being, have Sewell on one side, Riley Reiff on the other, and then move Jonah Williams to one of the guard spots. They also got what? Didn't they just sign Quentin Spain? So that's another really nice guard piece for that offensive line that's going to be significantly better than what it was last year trying to protect Joe Burrow. Pick 6, Miami Dolphins, congrats. Philadelphia just gave you the pick to go and select my dream wide receiver. Jamar Chase would be the most talented Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver, like I say, in my lifetime as a fan. I don't want to throw disrespect on like Deshaun Jackson, but Deshaun Jackson was one-dimensional. He was a deep threat. He wasn't a complete wide receiver. I think Jamar Chase would be the most talented Eagles wide receiver since Terrell Owens. And we only had Terrell Owens for a very short time, but that was peak T.O. That was peak T.O. when he was unstoppable, and I feel like Jamar Chase would, I don't want to, I'm going to end up going on like a 4-minute rant. It's going to take longer than expected. Enjoy him. So all I can say is enjoy him. I wish we were a properly ran franchise. 7 for the Detroit Lions. I think when you look at the Detroit Lions, there's a couple ways of thinking for the Detroit Lions here. You could either go wide receiver and try to replace Kenny Golladay right away. Devontae Smith's there, Jalen Waddle's there for sure. You could, I think Dan Campbell seems like he'd be a fan of Devontae Smith. I just can't see Dan Campbell being like, all right, let's get a 5'8", 170 wide receiver. Even though, Devontae Smith has his own weight concerns too. And Jalen Waddle's 185. I don't want to be lowballing him there. I think they also could look at defensive tackle. Again, at 7, though, starting to be maybe a little too rich to get Christian Barmore. Even though I think that would be a home run. I think he'd be a great fit there. I still think out of all the potential moves, I'm actually going to have him get Barmore here. Maybe it's against popular opinion here. He killed his pro day. Ceiling is incredibly high. Like, really, the only kind of knock against Barmore is that he hasn't got a lot of starter reps because he's just been buried on an Alabama defensive line that's just constantly churning out first rounders. But I think if we had to make a little bit of a surprise pick, given where the Detroit Lions are at, I don't think there's a wide receiver on this board that replaces Kenny Golladay, which is what they would probably be trying to do. I don't think that there's a lineman at this point. Like Slater, maybe? Someone like Rashawn Slater, you could have him start at guard and then eventually kick out to tackle when they realize that, sunken cost fallacy with Big V giving out that massive contract. But best player available, not even, I have Barmore as a top 15 player. Getting a player that I have in my top 15 at 7, not that bad of a reach. They could look at corner as well, Surtain if they fall in love with him, or J.C. Horn or Stokes, who had a really, really insane pro day. But I just think build your trenches, get Christian Barmore, plug and play, very high ceiling defensive lineman. Pick 8. We have I already know Lion fans are going to be shitting all over this. Pick 8, we'll have Justin Fields go to the Panthers. That seems like a very easy pick. Him lining up there with Joe Brady. Very good scenario as well. Likewise to Trey Lance. I think Joe Brady will be able to get the most out of Justin Fields. You're going to be feeling pretty happy about that piece of business there. So at pick number 9, we have the Denver Broncos. And I think when you look at the Denver Broncos, I think they need tackle, they need quarterback, and they also need a defensive tackle. And honestly, if we're going to get a little bit weird here, I think they could go Mac Jones. I don't know what it is. I feel like Denver's done with Drew Lock. And If it was obvious they'd be done, there'd be rumors that they're you know, kind of like the Jets, Sam Darnold, that they're trying to find trade partners for Drew Lock. I just think Mac Jones is going to go. Like I've been penciling to Mac Jones way down here at 19 to Washington. I just think he's going to be that guy that like it's not going to be as bad as Trubisky, but Mitchell Trubisky went way higher than people still expected him whenever the Bears got him, and I feel like that could kind of be the case here for Mac Jones. The run on quarterbacks is there, and Denver is, especially with the moves they're making in free agency. Those are win now moves. You're not bringing in Kyle Fuller on 1-year deals and bringing back Kareem Jackson and picking up options on Von Miller if you're going to a rebuild and you're going to be on this, like, you know, maybe Drew Lock puts it all together. I think they're going to be aggressive. And yeah, there you go. Mac Jones. I mean, I've come around a little bit on Mac Jones. The more you watch him, the more you're like, you know, he's got to be a solid NFL quarterback. I went from being he's the most overrated player and I like Kyle Trask more to being like, you know what? He got a smooth release, man. He's better athlete than expected. He could be like a Kirk Cousins type guy, maybe somewhere in that range. And those guys are, you know, fringe top 10 quarterbacks, fringe top 15 quarterbacks in that range. And that's an upgrade for the Denver Broncos. Pick 10, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're very much going to be addressing the secondary, even though edge rusher is also a need, Kwity Paye and stuff like that. But I just think Surtain, that's just a rub it in the face of Eagles. Because clearly at 12, Philly is hoping they have the pick of the litter at the cornerback spot. And Surtain would be an automatic pick for Philly at 12, I think. But he's off the board because, of course, we can't have nice things in Philadelphia. And look at that murderer's row. Philly's going to have to deal with Dallas and New York picking right in front of them and not picking the players that Philadelphia wants. I'm sure this is going to go over very well for the Philadelphia Eagles. Great job, Howie Roseman. So the Giants are up. I think they need interior linemen, edge rusher line. I'm not even going to, they're going Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons is such an ideal fit there for the Giants. And while it may sting for Eagle fans because both those players would be, you know, fringe blue chip players that would be outstanding additions for the Eagles defense, I don't think even if Micah Parsons there at 12, Philadelphia would pull the trigger because it's just not a position we value. So Philly is now here at pick 12. And what Jalen Waddle, 50-50 is still going to be there at 12. If Jalen Waddle is still there at 12, even though I've said that I still kind of think Philadelphia, how they would utilize Jalen Waddle, how they would vision Jalen Waddle, that's still how they incorrectly think that they can get Jalen Reagor to play like that. I think right now J.C. Horn is probably the most likely pick for Philadelphia. They're at his pro day. They worked him out during the on-field drills. I said during today's video, when they made this trade at 12, it just seems too coincidental that like they kind of start to get reports that they're falling in love with Horn, and then they trade down to a spot that's going to be a prime position. They get J.C. Horn, but I'm hoping, I don't think he's definitely not a bad player. Easily upgraded to our secondary. Could very well sooner than later be the corner that starts on the other side of Darius Slay, which is a massive need for this defense. But I'd go Jalen Waddle. I still think if Jalen Waddle didn't get hurt, Devontae Smith would in no way, shape, or form be ranked higher than Jalen Waddle. And that's no shot at Devontae Smith. That's just how good Jalen Waddle is. So Philly at 12, we'll grab Jalen Waddle, even though if you told me right now, C4, you had to gamble all of your top shot cards on who Philly's getting at 12, and I think it's going to be J.C. Horn. So 13, we have the Chargers, the LA Chargers. I think they're desperately going. They're going to be like running this one up there. They're going to get Rashawn Slater. Guard, tackle, either or, best lineman available. Continue to build that offensive line around Justin Herbert. So you have Brian Bulaga. You have Lindsey at center. Now you have Rashawn Slater. You can put him at left tackle, right tackle, either or. That's probably, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, this is a lot of best case scenarios for Dallas, for New York, for Philly, and for the Chargers, but I could definitely see it falling this way for sure. So at pick 14, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings also kind of like the Chargers here. I think they need linemen. They can go tackle. They could go best guard available. Quarterback's always a question for them, but there's no QBs really on the board that I think they would want to go after. D-tackle still could be a need, even with the addition of Dalvin Tomlinson. Edge rusher, especially with the reports that maybe Danielle Hunter wants to get traded, or safety to replace Anthony Harris. So looking here at pick 14, BPA, I mean, hell, they could even probably go after corner if they really wanted to. But I'm kind of looking here at where they would want to go, and I'm thinking you know, what do they got at tackle right now? The Minnesota Vikings tackles are, what do they got at left tackle? Who's their left tackle? Do they even have a left tackle? They got O'Neal at right tackle, Ezra Cleveland, who can play tackle, but they're going to keep him at guard. I honestly think if I'm at this spot at 14, I'd get Cosme the tackle. Fix your offensive line, continue to build around the strength of your team, which is running the ball with Dalvin Cook. Keep Kirk Cousins upright. I think Cosme, yeah, I think he's my third tackle right now, and I think that would be pretty good value for the Minnesota Vikings. I've had them going D lineman now, with Barmore off the board there at 7 to Detroit. I think BPA at tackle at a very strong position to invest your first round picks in. That would be the direction that I think they should go. We have the Patriots at 15, wide receiver, quarterback, and nose tackle are spots that I think that they could look at. Davion Nixon could be in play at 15. He seems like a guy that absolutely would be a Bill Belichick guy. At quarterback, you know, again, there's not much there. So looking at wide receiver, I really do feel like this is going to be a match made in heaven. I think Devontae Smith with that niche size, niche weight, $170, built like a middle schooler. But I think he's going to be a versatile weapon for Josh McDaniels and that Patriots offense. And I don't think the signings, say, of Nelson Aguilar, the signings of Kendrick Bourne, are really going to prevent the Patriots from going from the guy that can most help their offense be even remotely explosive next season. I think Devontae Smith would be very good value for the Patriots there at 15. 16, we have the Cardinals, and I'm going to have them get J.C. Horn. Very good corner from South Carolina. Aggressive corner, just like his dad. Had a really solid pro day. Great athlete, great vertical, very explosive, and you pretty much can groom him to be the heir to Patrick Peterson now that he's gone on to the Minnesota Vikings. 17, we have the Raiders. I think, you know, I got some notes here, and the Raiders, they need a lot of help now. They went from, like, I still couldn't rule them out going for an edge rusher, but they need a lot of help. They need a wide receiver. They need to go potentially on the offensive line. They still need help in the secondary. They need a safety. I think at 17, I can honestly see them getting Richie Grant. Richie Grant seems like a Gruden grinder, for sure. But maybe they're buyer beware. They're upset. They're worried about... You know what, actually, I'm going to have the Raiders do? I'm going to have them get Caleb Farley. Because we've seen them, with Mo Hurst in particular, players that have some medicals getting close to the draft, the Raiders will still get you. If they're going to gamble, like, is the health the reason why this player that should be not available is here? Then we're going to gamble that they're going to be healthy. I think Caleb Farley can be absolutely a massive improvement to that Raiders secondary. And we've seen, obviously it's only like one, I don't know, there's probably been some other options, but I just remember they got Mo Hurst when there's big red flags, people are starting to scare away, and that worked out well for the most part. I think Caleb Farley, guy, a lot of people, a lot of sites have him as corner one potentially, but now he has his nagging back injury and everything in between, could fall right down here to the Raiders, and I think they go BPA. And still no edge rushers off the board, very surprisingly. So now we're up here at 18 for the Miami Dolphins. And when you look at the Dolphins, we already had them get wide receiver. They got Jamar Chase. Congratulations on winning those sweepstakes. I'm very jealous. So from there, I think the Dolphins can continue to get better on the offensive line. They can look at running back. They can look at safety. I think running backs, I don't want to say Najee Harris at 18 is rich, but I just think that's a culture builder. Because Najee Harris, I mean, there's reports that like he took like a 9-mile drive just to go support his teammates at the Pro Bowl. He's a power back, but you could see the improvement as far as using his hands and being a pass catcher at the backfield. Could be a reach anytime you get running backs, but running backs, I think there's value in the back end of the first round to get running backs because you get that 5th-year option. So you essentially get 5 years of what you hope is very high running back pay without having to pay them any big-time money guarantees. I'm actually going to kind of get surprising here, and I'm going to have them at 18. I mean, who's still available? Just to make sure I don't want to second-guess myself. Could go edge rush, yeah, maybe. JOK could be in play. Morey. You know, I'm not even going to think twice. I'm going to get them Najee Harris. Get a dynamic back, running back, 3-down running back, 4-down running back. You're going 4 down. You want to punt it? You want him out there for all 4 downs? He can do that too. Pick 19, the Washington football team. I think for Washington, I got wide receiver, lineman, quarterback, and linebacker. And I think this is going to be a very annoying pick because it's a position that I think we could kind of hope that he could fall to Philadelphia. But I'm going to have them get JOK in the middle of that linebacking core. He's a safety hybrid. Kind of think of like Isaiah Simmons-ish. Not as S tier of an athlete as Isaiah Simmons, but I think this is a guy right there that can kind of go into the middle of that linebacking core for Washington. Pair him with Cole Holcomb, right? They've been trying to solve that with Reuben Foster and other things, but I think JOK, you pair that with Cole Holcomb, you got two nice anchors in the middle of that defense. 20, we have Chicago. The Bears have not had a great offseason. Andy Dalton has pretty much trumped anything good that can come out of this offseason for the Chicago Bears. I think this is going to be an opportune time for them to go into the secondary. And for me, you got to replace Fuller, you got to replace him for, I'm going Stokes. Stokes is a guy that I really like this tape at Georgia. And the fact that he's now confirmed that he's legitimate 4.2 speed. There you go, man. Him or Newsome, can't go wrong. But Stokes on the outside, and you still unfortunately have to wait for your quarterback next year. 21, we have the Indianapolis Colts, who've had a very good offseason. Hopefully, they're hoping that Carson Wentz can take them to the next level and be their next franchise quarterback. So the Colts still going to be looking for a tackle. And I think at this point, again, this is where it comes to like, is it my rankings or what I think they're going to do? I think that Tevin Jenkins will pair exceptionally well with Quentin Nelson. Very similar, absolute mauler, terrifying human beings. I'm going to have them get Tevin Jenkins to replace Anthony Costanzo and be the new franchise tackle for Carson Wentz on the left-hand side. 22, we have the Tennessee Titans, who I think they haven't had particularly a bad free agency period. They just lost so much in free agency. So for the Titans here, a lot of needs: wide receiver, tight end, offensive tackle because of the Isaiah Wilson. Barely played in the NFL, can't remember. Isaiah Wilson shambles of getting him as a first-round pick. Nose tackle, corner, safety. So it's kind of looking here at the big board. When you look at the roster, A.J. Brown, who's going to be the complementary piece to A.J. Brown, right? And I think that for how... Still no edge rushers up the board, eh? They don't really need edge rushers, right? They landed Bud Dupree. They got Harold Landry. Could use an edge on that D-line, though. Nose tackle, not much there. I think they need help at wide receiver. I'm going to give Rashad Bateman. Jack of all trades, master and none at wide receiver. Good compliment to what they have in A.J. Brown. It's time to let A.J. Brown be that outright wide receiver one and not have them be like, most weeks A.J. Brown's good, but some weeks Corey Davis is their wide receiver one, their primary target. I think they definitely need to add another pass catcher. And Rashad Bateman is a bona fide first-round wide receiver. It offers a little bit more, a little less niche than someone like Rondale Moore or Kadarius Toney, which I think, simplify it for the Titans and don't make it have to be something super creative, especially now that Arthur Smith is not in the building. Pick 23 for the Jets here. I think that now that they got their quarterback, how are you gonna protect him? You got Becton, right? But what other pieces do you have in the offensive line? I think the Jets still need guard, still need tackle, tight end. I think Freiermuth could be an option. They still need running back. ETN would be awesome, but you know who else would be awesome? Javonte Williams, and you won't have to use a first-round pick on him. Still need corner. Newsome would be pretty good. No, we're not going to overthink it. I think Joe Douglas. Trying to think, like, if I was Joe Douglas, I'd be very intrigued by the pro day numbers that we saw from Alex Leatherwood. I think someone, honestly, like Spencer Brown, who like S-tiered at his pro day, could sneak into the first round. If we're not really talking about it. Mayfield's intriguing as well. Darisaw is the higher rate. I'm not as high on Darisaw as some of these people. I think he's good. I don't know if he's great. Protecting. Screw it. Well, I'm gonna get the most explosive playmaker. I'm gonna get ETN at running back. Congrats. Just get another weapon, right? They don't have that. You need that balance to your offense. Get ETN. 24, and that says something, even though when you think if you watch BYU play, you watch any Zach Wilson tape, I think BYU might have the best offensive line in all of college football last year, and you look at the Jets' offensive line, it's very much not even like a middle-of-the-park offensive line. So, I mean, maybe you can come back to regret that. Tackle, 23 in hindsight, but I just think with the logjam, no tackle really standing out to me amongst this logjam. They pick high again in the second round. They could just get back to a tackle And in this round, get ETN, you get that 5th-year option, that free money almost. So at 24 here, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for the Steelers, what do we got here? Where can they improve? What can they do? You got center, quarterback, nose tackle, edge rusher, and corner. I think, yeah, Bud Dupree. They did get Highsmith, though. I feel like they do like Highsmith on that defense to replace Bud Dupree. In the secondary, they're going to have to replace Steven Nelson, but they have Justin Lane. They could be fine there. At nose tackle, they're going to replace Tyson Alualu. You could do that with really any of these guys. But you watch the Steelers play, and the offense was like kind of the issue, right? The offense was not particularly good. I'm going to actually have them go Vera Tucker here. I think Vera Tucker, tackle, guard, either way, just the pound for pound, most versatile, most valuable overall offensive lineman they can get 24. Hell, that actually might even be a better pick there for the Jets. But let's improve the Steelers offensive line. He can be a guard. Most likely can be a tackle. We'll go with that. 25, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars back on the clock again. So they spent a lot of money all over the place in free agency, but they have QB1, which is absolutely what they needed to do. So from there, I think tight end and then kind of continuing to get really good in that secondary could be prevalent. Zayvon Collins is still there. They don't really... Jacksonville, huh? You know what? Maybe not. Maybe not. I won't go that far. Jacksonville at 25. An interesting one. I think they got CJ. They just paid Shaquille Griffin. They have Henderson, who they spent a first-round pick. I don't think they'd grab another corner. You look at their safeties. You know what? I'll have them grab a safety here. I honestly, their safety play, I remember they had the dude from Wyoming play a lot last year with the flowing hair. And you probably want to do a little bit better than that. So I'll have them get Teron Moehrig, who is probably going to be the first safety off the board. I'm not super high on him enough to be like he's a bona fide first rounder, but I think a lot of people do have him getting mocked consistently in the first round, so we'll have them go grab a safety. Versatile, free, strong, can tackle well, tested very well, good athlete, very explosive, but I think he could probably be the starting free safety for them sooner than later. At 26, we have the Cleveland Browns, a roster that has very little holes for the Browns. When I'm looking at their team needs, linebacker and corner are the two spots that I think that they probably want to try to get a little bit more stability at. I think a linebacker, this is going to be interesting because no one really knows how they're going to use Zayvon Collins, but I think you might get two birds kind of stoned at once here, to quote the Trailer Park Boys. They're interested in Jadeveon Clowney, so they're kind of looking for maybe someone that's a hybrid. You get that in Zayvon Collins, and you also might get a guy that's just a very good linebacker and can do everything you want your linebacker to do in today's NFL. So that's a really nice pick there for the Browns. At 27, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see what we got here for needs for the Ravens. I currently have them listed at wide receiver, who they just signed Sammy Watkins like right before I was starting to record. I still don't think him on a one-year deal solves your wide receiver issues. Offensive tackle, prepare for life behind Orlando Brown. Seems like a foregone conclusion that they're going to be trading him. Or they could look at edge rusher. And I'm thinking, I think I would probably, like, again, it's very disrespectful of me. Have no edge rushers going off the board here. But I think if I'm them, I would be gambling on the incredibly high ceiling for Mr. Gregory Rousseau. I think you can play him on whatever front. You can play him as a 3-4 and have him be the guy because you got to try to replace Yannick Ngakoue and Matt Judon. I would probably prioritize a little bit. I think Ojolari makes sense. Kwity Paye, again, kind of flexible, can be used like Rashawn Gary in Green Bay right now. Phillips is good. Oweh had the insane combine, but I just think highest ceiling out of all these guys, it's still probably Rousseau. And out of all these teams that I think could develop a player to reach their high ceiling, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think I would put it past any other team more so than the Baltimore Ravens of achieving that fate. We have the Saints here at 28, wide receiver, quarterback, linebacker, and corner for the Saints. And I think Newsom's gonna be a bona fide first rounder here at Northwestern. Insane combine. A lot of people that I personally trust when it comes to evaluating prospects, have him as a legitimate lock in the first round. You had some off the field with Marshawn Lattimore recently. Who knows, there's going to be a suspension there. I think corner is going to be a dire need for the New Orleans Saints, so they're going to grab Newsome there, who's a pretty good fit. 29, the Green Bay Packers. I think wide receiver, I think edge, I think linebacker, corner as well. I think looking at this board, I just think they're going to have too much fun with Rondale Moore. With how explosive he showed out at his pro day, that is just something that should get paired with Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. And I think it's going to yield very good results, tremendous results, by bringing in just an unreal athlete and a guy that you're going to be able to be incredibly versatile with. You can line him up in the backfield, do all sorts of trick plays, gadget plays. He's going to be just a weapon, an offensive weapon for the Green Bay Packers next season, and immediately contribute and help them, because they're a team that absolutely wants to compete next year and to try to get another Super Bowl run. Number 30, we have the Buffalo Bills. Where are we at? Where's my opinion of the Bills? Tackle and corner are the spots that I'm looking at for the Bills, and even then, they still got D-tackle, that is. And corner, looking at the board, okay, Sunday Samuel, that's intriguing. And on defensive tackle, there's still a whole... Question would be, need an outside corner here. Sunday Samuel might not be that. I really like Davion Nixon, and I think I would love to see Davion Nixon and Ed Oliver play together. So that's why I'm mocking him there. Davion Nixon, Ed Oliver gives me a damn near shivers thinking about how good that defensive line could be. 31, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs have been kind of quiet in free agency so far. Maybe a little bit underwhelming given the star power they should command and what they're losing. I think for the Chiefs, though, they tackle, man. You have to go tackle. We're going to have them get Darisaw here. You got to replace Eric Fisher. You got to replace Mitchell Schwartz. You might have to replace Duwade Tadif. Yet again, you got Chris Long on a flyer. He's most likely going to be a guard. You got, Tooney, interior lineman. But you got to get a tackle. Your best tackle available could be Darisaw. I mean, it could be... Really, again, I don't know what order. From Darisaw, Mayfield, Leatherwood, Eckenberg, Duns. Even I would have Spencer Brown a little bit higher there. I don't know who's going to go first, so we'll just kind of trust the expert here a little bit and go Darisaw at 31. They're finishing with Tampa Bay at 32. They just re-signed playoff Lenny, so I had them as a need at running back. I think Javonte Williams would be amazing, but I think they just got to get a defensive end. And this, I think... I almost don't like this mock draft. It's an emergency mock draft. I'm going to have them get, I think William Golston is kind of the odd man out there, the weak link, if you will, on that front. And someone like Kwity Paye can be that hybrid edge rusher. And plus, you don't have, how much more do you have of a JPP? I still think some of those guys that were available, I really do think go in the first round. I'm not going to sure change, but like Azeez Ojulari should probably go in the first round. I have Jalen Phillips as a first rounder. Amongst some of those other players. But, yeah, we'll have them get Kwity Paye, because I just think when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like Golston, he's solid, but like imagine if you had a more dynamic playmaker there. And I think Kwity Paye, 280, you could probably pack on, you could probably make him 290, 295, and he could play hybrid, stand up a little bit, also hand him the dirt on that three front. So, yeah, that's where we're going to go, man. That is the mock draft, emergency mock draft amongst all the trade craziness that has happened here today. And from that trade craziness, Jalen Waddle going to the Eagles. We have Jamar Chase to the Dolphins and Trey Lance to the San Francisco 49ers. I want to hear what you guys think about this mock draft in the comment section below. That'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time, it's C4 saying like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if it's your first time stopping by. And I'll see you guys back here on the next one tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and peace out.